Hi everyone, today I am going to discuss client server program using TCP bar IP. So we know that applications and application layer protocol, how the data will be communicating each other. In application, communicating in the form of distributed processes. Example, exchange messages to implement in a particular applications app. For example, email, file transfer, the web communications. So here application layer protocol should define the messages exchanged by apps and actions of transmit. So user services which provided by the lower layer protocol. So here server and client. So we know that client and server and client which always exchange the message over the network through a common socket application programmer interface, that is the socket API. So any other API which are exchanging between the messages. So here server socket we have here, and this is the client socket. So there is a common network, that is through a common socket API, that is the interface, which is a socket API. So here Ethernet adapter IP and TCP bar UDP depends upon the connection place or connection oriented, and we need to take the port number of that server which are binded to the network. Similarly, client is the port number, again user space here, and kernel space in the client and hardware part. So how the client can request and server will be response. So here before that we need to discuss some concept of the particular part in the TCP IP or socket communication. Concept of port number, we know that port numbers always which are used to identity or identify the entities on a particular host or network, or we can the node or the system. Port number always can be a well-known 02023 1023. So after that, dynamic or private port number is started from 1024 to 655535. Up to this is reserved, well known already, reserved. The rest all we can assign to the any type of the experiment. So here servers usually as a well-known port, we have any client can identify the server services. HTTP is 80, FTP and Telnet is 23. So these are all well-known ports. Client usually use dynamic ports assigned by the always kernel at the runtime. So what is a socket? A socket usually you can call it as a end-to-end connection or a file descriptor. It is a file descriptor that lets an application read write data from or to the network. So actually what is socket is a made up of port number and IP address, usually end-to-end connection. So here the socket will be having different form. AF underscore INET. So address format as the internet, which associates a socket with internet protocol family. So this is the actually general syntax of address format as the internet in terms of the socket. Sock stream. So this is the syntax socket in the string format. Which string? So that is the TCP protocol sock DGRM. So that and that selects the when you use this sock DG datagram, so which will usually select the UDP protocol, and when we use the sock stream, that is the syntax, whenever stream level use the sock stream which select the uh, TCP protocol. Now we need to see the different process or steps of the socket communications, socket API communication to client to the server. So the socket input output, you can call it as the bind. So bind the system call. This is the system call. Socket can be bound to a port, particular port number we need to set in the address format. We have seen that address format as the uh, internet. So there we need to bound to a port number. Port number should be the unique identity. So where we need to bound. So the bind system call which assigns an address to a unnamed socket. Socket will be created which name is unnamed. Then we are giving to the and particular address format. So that address will be done in the bind system call. Socket should be input output, that is the listen. So this listen state, the listen steps, which indicate that server will be accept a connection. This is ready to accept the connection in the server side and accept. So this is the accept system call. You can call it as a block waiting for the connection. Another side, the same time client also has a created his own socket API and he is ready to connect, which client has been created or established the connection to a towards the server. By that time, is server is ready to accept it. So here connect system call allows a client to connect to a server. And read write options. Read can be used to with the socket. Read block waiting for the data from the client side, but doesn't guarantee the size of buffer is read we are taking. So socket input output in the read write can be used to with a particular socket. So this is a general architectural flowchart communication between TCP client versus TCP server. So in the server, a little bit three part is more. Why? Because we need to bind in the internet format. Listen to that after binding the socket, that should be in the listen state. After that, ready to accept. So the client is need not to be bind and listen. Client is after creating his own socket API, he is ready to connect to the once he established the connection in terms of connection oriented or connection less, then accept the server is ready in the accept the client request. So then the data request and data reply will be started from uh, client to server. There is a last message is end of file. Your notification will be sent to the and the client to server. So after that, whatever we open, so we need to close it. So this way both will be communicating. So this is the we have a algorithm step. Start, create a socket connection using socket system call, bind the socket and address using bind system call, because we need to set an address to the particular with the help of port number. Listen to the connection using listen call, accept. By that time server is ready for acceptance. Receiving file name, transfer the content of file with a client, close the socket, connection using close system call and the stop. This is the again another side is client. Create a socket connection using socket system call. Connect the socket to the server's address using the connect system call. Request for the content, whatever the file sending by the send system call, and read write or read file the and receive system call, which are ready to send to the server side. Close the whatever we open and stop it. So now this is the program execution of TCP over IP socket. So we need to have the two terminal. We should run server program is in one terminal and a client program in another terminal. Okay. First we are going to run the socket. So here socket server.java, Java socket server. Server is ready for the connection here, and the connection is ready for the connection. So then we are going to run the Java socket client, so which will ask enter the file name hello.txt, because the one file should be created in the home folder where we need to type the certain contents, because that content will be displayed here. uh, hello.txt. So here connection is successful and waiting for charting. So this server is ready and connection is successful. Once we type this hello.txt, once we enter hi hello, which I have written in this hello.txt file, which will be displayed. So this is the program execution of TCP bar IP socket. Similarly, another one is datagram socket. So here also we have to run the Datagram server and Datagram client. So first we need to run the Datagram server program, your Java Datagram server, which will ask to enter the message HELLO. Okay. So in the client side, again the Java client, so which will ask that one here directly we need to type the message in the server side. Once we type here, press enter. By that time we should run the Java DS client. So this typed message will be displayed in the client side. So this is the way Datagram server will be also communicating each other.